They told us the Americans were monsters who would starve their prisoners. I learned the truth in June of 1945 in an Iowa barn at dawn, when a farmer named Virgil Kincaid handed me a cold glass of fresh milk. My hands shook. I had to admit I had never tasted it in my 14 years. The glass was cold. The milk inside was a white I had never seen. Not the grey, blue of skimmed wartime rations in the Reich, but a pure creamy white that caught the first dusty beams of dawn light through the barn's open door. It smelled of grass and a clean animal warmth. My hands would not stop shaking.
Go on, son, it's fresh.
His voice was low, gravelly from mourning and tobacco. He was an old man to my eyes, though he couldn't have been 40. His hands, holding the glass out to me, were broad and scarred, the nails packed with dark earth. He wore a simple checked shirt, not a uniform. I stared at the offering, my throat tight with a shame I couldn't name. I have never tasted it. The words left me in a whisper. I saw the confusion knit his brow, then a slow, dawning understanding that settled into the lines around his eyes like sorrow. He didn't pull the glass back, he just held it steady, a rock in the stream of my trembling.
Never?
I shook my head. My cheeks burned. Milk was for babies, for the privileged, for propaganda posters about Aryan health. In the Ruhr, where I was born, it was a memory my mother had of her own childhood. For me, it was a word. I took the glass, the chill of it bit into my palm, a sharp, clean sensation. I raised it to my lips. The first taste was a shock, rich, sweet and heavy on my tongue in a way my body did not recognize as food. It was cool going down, coating the raw, permanent hunger in my belly with something smooth and utterly foreign. I closed my eyes, a second longer sip. This time I tasted the clover, the clean hay, the sun on the pasture. It was the taste of peace, of a world that was not broken. A sound escaped me, a choked, half sob. I felt the hot tears then cutting through the grime on my face, dripping off my chin and into the white liquid. I did not wipe them away. I drank until the glass was empty, and the silence of the barn was broken only by the shift of a cow in her stall and the distant crow of a rooster. I lowered the glass, my breath coming in shaky hitches. Virgil Kincaid took it from my hand. He didn't speak. He just looked at me, and in his weathered face, I saw no triumph, no pity, no political calculation. Only a deep, weary compassion. Deep, weary.
There's a pump round the side. Get yourself cleaned up. Then you can meet the others. Breakfast is soon.
He turned and walked back toward the farmhouse, his boots scuffing on the packed dirt. I stood there in the barn's golden gloom, the taste of milk still on my lips, my body humming with a strange, unearned sustenance. This farmer, my supposed enemy, had given me something my own country never could. Not because he had to, because it cost him nothing to be decent, but to understand why that glass of milk broke something inside me that a year of hunger and fear could not. You need to know what the war had already taken. You need to go back to the winter of 1944, to a frozen forest in the Ardennes, where I was a boy playing at being a soldier, and where I learned the true taste of things. It was not milk, it was iron and snow and despair. The iron was the taste of the gun barrel I pressed my lips against, trying to suck warmth from the cold metal. The snow was grey, slush, seeping through my boot holes, a constant chill. The despair was the silence after the artillery stopped, when all you could hear was the wounded moaning and branches creaking under ice. We were children of the Volkssturm, handed Panzerfausts we could barely lift, and ordered to hold a line against ghosts in white camouflage. I was 14, but I looked 10. Casimir Drexler, next to me in that foxhole, was 15. He had a man's shadow on his lip and eyes that were already old. They've pulled back. The officers. I saw the Kübelwagen leave an hour ago. His whisper hung in the frozen air. I stared at my hands, wrapped in rags, unable to feel my fingers. The promise had been a hot meal and a train home for heroes. The reality was hardtack stolen from a dead man's coat that I was too afraid to chew for fear of the noise. They found us at dawn, not with a charge, but with a slow advance through the mist. Shapes materialized from the trees, their breath pluming, rifles held with weary certainty. American soldiers. One, a medic with a red cross on his helmet, saw us first. We didn't raise our weapons. We couldn't. We were just two boys, shivering violently, our teeth chattering like dice. The medic's name was Virgil Kincaid. He didn't say it then. He just lowered his rifle and said one word.
Boss.
Out. I understood. Casimir and I climbed out, our limbs stiff. An American sergeant patted us down, his hands quick and impersonal. He took my Mauser, then paused, feeling the sharp angles of my shoulder through the thin wool. He looked at my face, then at Casimir's. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did. It wasn't pity, it was a cold, clean recognition. We were marched to a muddy clearing where a dozen other boys stood under guard, hands on our heads. The cold gnawed at my core. Then, from a tent, an officer emerged. He was not the cartoon villain of propaganda. He was a captain, lean and sharp, with a gaze that scanned us like inventory.
Christ, they're sending them out of the crib now. Get them processed. The trucks for the transit camp arrive at 1300.
His voice was flat. We were a logistical problem, a shipment of broken equipment. That was the first lesson of captivity. You cease to be a person. You are a body to be counted, moved and stored. They loaded us into a truck. The canvas flap closed, plunging us into a dim, jolting world, smelling of damp wool and fear. A camp. They said they shoot prisoners. I didn't answer. I remembered my mother's face the day Feldwebel's Spangler came to the school. Berlin, 1943. The classroom was unheated. Our breath fogged the air as Feldwebel, Ordwin, Spangler, a block of a man with a ribbon on his chest, stood before us. He didn't shout. His voice was a low, persuasive rumble.
The fatherland is your family. It must call upon its sons in its hour of need. You are not children playing at war. You are the reserve of the nation's strength. Your health is the health of Germany.
I looked at my own hands, pale and thin. That morning my mother had traded her last pair of stockings for a half loaf of black bread. The poster behind Spangler showed a rosy-cheeked boy drinking from a full glass of milk. German youth, the healthiest in Europe, it proclaimed. I had never tasted milk that wasn't blue water. I weighed 31 kilograms. The fatherland was calling on a reserve that did not exist. The truck hit a deep rut, jolting me back to the dark and Casimir's silent trembling. The transit camp was a sea of churned mud surrounded by wire. They processed us, took our names, issued uniforms too large. For 3 days we existed on thin soup and pocket hardtack. Then they put us on a train, a passenger coach with boarded up windows. We rattled west for days, the landscape changing from snow to fields. No one told us where we were going. Rumors flew, execution, forced labor, a prisoner swap. Then, one afternoon, the train stopped. The door slid open, golden light flooded in. And with it, a smell. A rich, warm, living smell that made my empty stomach clench. It was the smell of earth, of animals, of grass. A smell I did not know, but my body recognized. It was the smell of peace.
Raus, alles raus.
We stumbled out blinking into the late spring sun of Iowa. Before us, beyond a neat fence, was a white farmhouse and red barns. And everywhere, on emerald fields, were black and white cows. I had seen pictures, but I had never seen so much green or animals so fat. Casimir stood beside me, his mouth open. What is this place? Then a man walked from the farmhouse. He wore denim trousers and a checked shirt. He was older, with a weathered face. He looked at our line, at our gaunt faces and oversized clothes. His eyes met mine. There was no hatred. There was a quiet, assessing sadness. This was Virgil Kincaid's father. This was the Kincaid dairy farm. And I was about to learn what milk tasted like. The man's gaze held mine for a long moment. The June sun was warm on the back of my neck, but a chill was locked deep in my bones. He didn't speak. He just turned and walked toward the farmhouse, a low, white building with a wide porch. He gestured for us to follow.
Come on, this way.
We shuffled forward, the gravel of the drive crunching under our broken boots. The smell hit me first. It was a rich, warm animal smell, layered with hay and earth. It wasn't the sour stench of unwashed man or the chemical burn of cordite. It was alive. We were led not into the house, but around the side, to a long, low shed built of weathered planks. Inside, the light was soft and dusty. Wooden stalls lined one wall, and there were the cows. Great, gentle creatures with liquid brown eyes and hides of black and white. They chewed slowly, their jaws moving in a steady, peaceful rhythm. I had never been so close to one. The older man, Virgil's father, took a three-legged stool and a pail. He sat beside one of the beasts, his forehead leaning against her flank. His hands moved with a practiced, gentle efficiency. A sharp, rhythmic hissing sound filled the quiet shed. Zing, zing, zing. Fresh, frothy milk streamed into the pail. The sound was hypnotic. The smell grew richer, creamier. My mouth, perpetually dry, began to water with a painful ache. He stood, the pail now a quarter full. He took a tin cup from a hook, dipped it, and handed it to Virgil. Virgil brought it to me. He held it out. The liquid was white, with a faint yellow cream swirling on top. It steamed slightly in the cool air of the barn.
Go on.
I stared at it. My hands were trembling. Casimir watched me, his own hunger a palpable force beside me. I took the cup. The metal was warm. I brought it to my lips. The scent was overwhelming, sweet, grassy, profoundly unfamiliar. I took a sip. It was not like water. It was thick. It coated my tongue. The flavor was gentle, slightly sweet, with a richness that settled in the hollows of my cheeks. It was warmth. It was sustenance. It was a kind of peace I had no memory of. I drank it all, too fast, the last drops clinging to the tin. I lowered the cup, my eyes stinging. Virgil's father was watching me, his expression unreadable. Never had milk before, son. The question was simple. It wasn't an accusation, it was just a question. I shook my head, unable to form words. The admission felt like a confession of a poverty so deep it was shameful. In that moment, I wasn't a soldier. I was just a hungry boy from a city of rubble, standing in a barn in Iowa. Well, there's more. He dipped the cup again and gave it to Casimir, who drank with the same desperate, reverent haste. Virgil's father then took the pail and tunneled ember and poured the remaining milk into a shallow pan for the barn cats. The casual generosity of the act, giving such precious food to animals, struck me like a physical blow. My own country had let its children starve. This man, my enemy, gave milk to cats. We were put to work. Simple tasks. Carrying buckets of water, forking clean hay into the stalls. The physical labor was a relief. It had a purpose I could understand. As I worked, my mind kept returning to the taste, the warmth. The propaganda leaflets we'd seen, dropped by American planes, had shown fat capitalists gorging themselves while German children starved. They were lies. All of it. The truth was in that tin cup. Later, as the afternoon light slanted golden through the barn door, Virgil approached me. I was brushing down a placid cow, the coarse hair of her hide rough under my palm.
Pa keeps a record for the farm, milk yields, feed, all that. He's gonna put you two in it.
In the record?
Yep. Date, number of hands. He said he's gonna write June 23rd, 1945, hired 2 German POWs for chores. One admitted he'd never tasted milk. Just a fact, for the books.
He said it plainly, as if it were no more remarkable than noting the weather. But to me it was everything. My existence, my profound lack, was being noted not as a weapon or a pity, but as a simple fact in a ledger of a working farm. It was the first time in years I felt like a real person, and not just a thing to be used. The ledger closed with a soft thump. Virgil Kincaid's pen went still. He looked from me to Casimir, his eyes lingering on the hollows of our cheeks, the rope cinched around my waist. The June sun, warm through the barn window, felt like a spotlight on my shame.
Agricultural workers. That's the designation. You'll be assigned to a farm. You'll work, you'll be fed, you'll be housed. You are not slaves. You are prisoners of war, and you will be treated according to the Geneva Convention.
The words were formal, but his tone was flat, as if reciting from a manual he didn't fully believe. Casimir stared at the floor, his shoulders trembling. I just nodded. Geneva Convention. It was a phrase, empty as a spent cartridge. My reality was the ledger, a fact, 34 kilograms, a resource to be allocated.
You'll be processed here for a few more days, then transport. The farm is in Iowa.
He stood, the wooden chair, scraping on the plank floor. The sound was sharp, final. He paused at the door, his hand on the frame. He didn't look back. The room was silent after he left, save for the distant hum of a generator and the buzz of flies against the window pane. The smell of disinfectant and dust hung in the air. Casimir finally lifted his head. His eyes were red-rimmed.
Iowa. Where is Iowa?
I shook my head. It was a place on a map, a place to die. I touched the rough wood of the table, tracing a groove with a grimy fingernail. A real person. The thought felt fragile, a soap bubble in a storm. They had my measurement, my utility. That was all. The next days passed in a blur of waiting and strange, small rituals. We were issued clothing, coarse denim trousers and blue work shirts that hung off our frames. An American corporal with a bored expression pointed to a shower stall. The hot water was a shock, a scalding luxury that turned my skin pink. I scrubbed until it hurt, trying to remove the grime of the front, the sour smell of fear that had seeped into my pores. We were fed, not just soup. There was bread, pale and soft, not the dense, gritty black loaf of home. There was a strange, sweet fruit in thick syrup. Canned peaches, someone said. The sweetness made my teeth ache and my stomach clench in protest. I ate slowly, terrified my shrunken gut would reject it. On the third day, they marched us to a train. Not a cattle car. A passenger carriage with hard, slatted seats. American soldiers with rifles watched us board, their expressions unreadable behind sunglasses. The engine chuffed to life, a deep, rhythmic sound that vibrated through the bench. The landscape began to slide past the window. Shattered towns giving way to green fields, whole and untouched by war. I pressed my forehead to the cool glass. The sun was high, baking the meadows. I saw a farmer on a tractor. A tiny figure in a sea of green. It looked like a painting. It looked like a lie. Casimir slept fitfully beside me, his head lolling against my shoulder. I watched the miles unspool, each one taking me further from the rubble, further into the unknown belly of the nation that had won. The train's whistle blew, a long, lonely sound that echoed across the prairie. It wasn't the scream of the Nebelwerfer or the stutter of an MG-42. It was a different kind of summons. I closed my eyes. I was a fact in a ledger, being transported to a column marked Iowa, a thing to be used. But for the first time the using came with bread and a shower and a seat by a window. The contradiction sat inside me, heavy and cold. We changed trains in a vast, noisy station whose name I didn't catch. More waiting on a platform surrounded by the stares of civilians. A woman in a flower print dress looked at us, then quickly away, as if she'd seen something unclean. A child pointed. His mother pulled his hand down, whispering sharply. Finally, a smaller, slower train. The land grew flatter, the sky enormous. The air coming through the open window smelled different. Not of pine and cordite, but of damp earth and something else. Something rich and sweet and faintly sour all at once. It was the smell of the ledger entry made real. It was the smell of the Kincaid dairy farm. The truck crunched to a halt on the gravel drive. I climbed down, my boots sinking into the soft, dark earth. The farmhouse was white, its paint peeling in the June sun. A big red barn stood behind it, doors open to a cool, shadowy interior. And there were the cows, maybe 24 black and white, moving slowly in a fenced pasture, their low calls a deep, peaceful rumble. That was the smell. Manure? Yes. But beneath it, the sweet, grassy scent of hay and the warm, living odor of the animals themselves. I was assigned a cot in a room above the tool shed. Casimir was with me. We were to help with chores. For 3 weeks I worked. I marked stalls, pitched hay, repaired fence posts Virgil pointed to. I ate the food Mrs. Kincaid left on the porch. Thick stews, fresh bread, applesauce. I ate until my stomach cramped, then ate more. But I spoke little. I kept my distance. The war was over, but the silence inside me was a trench I couldn't climb out of. One morning, the dew still silver on the grass, I was carrying water to the pigs. I paused by the pasture fence. The cows were being let in for milking. I just stood there watching, the way they moved, so slow and certain, the way the farmhand, a man named Jed, patted a flank as he guided them. It was an order without shouting, a calm I didn't understand.
You ever milked one?
He was suddenly beside me, leaning on the fence post. He wore faded overalls, not his uniform. No, sir.
Ain't no sir here, just Virgil. Come on.
He led me into the barn. The air was cool and thick, with that sweet, sour smell. A cow was already in the stanchion. Jed nodded and moved off. Virgil pulled up a three-legged stool.
Watch your feet. She's gentle, but she's heavy. You sit here. Now watch.
His hands, broad and calloused, worked with a practiced rhythm. A sharp ping as the first stream hit the empty pail. Then a steady, frothy hiss. The sound was oddly soothing. He finished, wiped the cow's udder with a cloth, and released her. He poured the milk, creamy white, still warm, through a strainer into a clean steel can.
Your turn tomorrow. For now...
He took a tin cup from a hook, dipped it into the fresh milk, and handed it to me. The metal was cool, the milk inside was not.
Go on, drink.
I looked at it. I looked at him. His face was expectant but not unkind. I raised the cup. The smell was richer, closer. I took a sip. The taste flooded my mouth. It was nothing like I imagined. It was warm and sweet and full, with a weight on the tongue. It was alive. I swallowed. A memory, not my own, from a schoolbook picture. A child with a glass of milk, a simple thing. I do not know this taste. The words were out before I could stop them. A confession of a lack I never knew I had. Virgil's face changed. The easy expression tightened around the eyes. He didn't look shocked. He looked sad. Deeply, terribly sad. He took the cup from my trembling hand, refilled it from the can, and gave it back.
Drink as much as you want, son. We got plenty.
The word did not feel like a weapon. It felt like a key turning in a rusted lock. Something in my chest, something held rigid, since the first artillery barrage near Aachen simply broke. I drank. The second cup. Then a third, which he poured without me asking. I drank until the warm liquid felt heavy in my hollow stomach, until my throat ached with a different kind of thirst. I handed back the empty cup. My vision blurred. I stumbled back, finding the rough wood of a hay bale, and sat down hard. The tears came then, not sobs. A silent, relentless flood, tracking through the dust on my cheeks. I cried for the milk. I cried for the boy in the picture who wasn't me. I cried for the taste of something that was simply given, not earned, not stolen, not rationed. I put my face in my hands, the rough wool of my tunic sleeve scratching my skin, and wept. Virgil didn't pat my shoulder. He didn't say a word. He just picked up the milk can and carried it to the cooling room. Later, I would learn he went straight to the farm office. In the ledger, under the date June 17th, 1945, he wrote in his careful, sloping hand, "German boy, 14 years, first milk." Cried. I sat there until the tears were spent, until the barn cat came and rubbed against my leg. The smell of hay and milk and animal was all around me. For the first time in years, the silence in my head was not empty. It was full. It was peace. The cat's purr was a low, steady engine against my shin. I wiped my face with the rough sleeve of my tunic. The salt of my tears, sharp on my chapped lips. The quiet was a physical thing, a soft blanket after a lifetime of shivering.
You all right, son?
He stood in the barn door, silhouetted by the late morning sun. He wasn't smiling, but his eyes held no judgment. "Yes, sir." My voice was hoarse. He nodded, as if that single word was a full report.
Got a heifer needs her hooves trimmed. You know how to hold a halter?
I did not. But I stood up, my legs steady for the first time that day. "I can learn, sir," he showed me. His hands were broad and sure, guiding the yearling's head. The animal's breath was warm and grassy. My job was just to stand, to be a calm post. For an hour, there was only the snick of his trimming shears, the shift of the cow's weight, and the dust motes swimming in the sunbeams. No past, no future, just this task, in this barn, with this man who had given me milk and now gave me purpose. It was the first honest work I'd done since the war took me. But that piece had a beginning. It started in noise and terror. April 1945. The Atlantic was a heaving, iron-grey beast. I was 15, not 14. The army had lied for me. We were packed in the hold of the Liberty ship, 1,000 ghosts in field grey. The air tasted of vomit and diesel and despair. We'd been captured in the Ruhr pocket, herded like cattle. The stories we'd been told: the Americans would shoot us, torture us. The seasick dread was preferable to that fear.
They will send us to Siberia. I heard it from a corporal.
Casimir, a boy from Hamburg with eyes too old for his face, shivered beside me. He was 16 but looked 12. This ship goes west, not east.
Silence. Your ignorance is a pisson.
Spangler was a skeleton in a uniform, his authority as brittle as his frame. He clung to the rank like a life raft. He pointed a trembling finger at the hedges above.
They keep us down here to break us, to make us beg. Do not give them the satisfaction. Remember who you are.
But who were we? Children who'd fired Panzerfausts at tanks. Boys who dug trenches until our hands bled. The fatherland was ashes. I remembered nothing of who I was before. After days, the engines changed pitch. A new smell cut through the stench. Land saw it. A green sweetness. We were marched onto the deck, blinking in the blinding light. America. It wasn't a wasteland. It was impossibly green. Rolling hills, not rubble. White farmhouses, not shattered facades. The silence was the most shocking thing. No air raid sirens, no distant thunder of artillery, just the wind and the crying of gulls. They processed us at a camp in New York. The guards weren't monsters. They were bored. One, a corporal with a Brooklyn accent, saw me struggling with the laces on my broken boots. Here, for Christ's sake. He tossed me a length of twine. Not a gift, a practicality. But it was the first thing given, not taken, in 2 years. My hands shook tying it. We were loaded onto trains. Days of rolling through a continent of plenty. Fields stretched to the horizon, unmarked by craters. Barns were full, not burned. Children waved at the trains, their faces curious, not afraid. Casimir pressed his forehead to the grimy window.
It is not fair.
It wasn't. It was a truth more devastating than any propaganda. The world was not what we had been told. The enemy lived in peace, and we had been the invaders of it. The train stopped in Iowa. We disembarked, a line of scarecrows in the bright June sun. The air was thick with the smell of warm earth and manure and growing things. A farmer in overalls stood by a truck, squinting at a clipboard. He had a kind, weathered face. He looked us over, not with hatred, but with a practical assessment, like he was choosing a plow horse.
You and you.
His finger pointed at me, then at Casimir. His voice was a low rumble. We climbed into the back of his truck. As it bounced down a dirt road past endless fields of corn, Casimir leaned close, his whisper lost in the wind.
What does he want with us?
I didn't know. I watched the farmhouse grow larger on the horizon, white and solid against the blue sky. I was 15. I was a prisoner of war, and in a few hours, in a sun-dappled barn, I would taste milk for the first time, and a man I was taught to fear would write my truth in a ledger, and my life would quietly, irrevocably begin again. I am 103 years old now. My hands rest on the same kitchen table, the wood smooth, where my palms have worn it. Virgil Kincaid has been gone for 60 years. My great-grandchildren ask about the war. They want to hear about guns and planes. But I tell them about the cold glass Virgil placed in my trembling hands, the cream at the top, and how a farmer saw a hungry boy, not an enemy. We share these stories, so the humanity of that generation is never forgotten. If you believe these memories should be preserved, please subscribe to help us keep them alive, before the last of us who remember are gone. I can still taste that milk, sweet and cold, a whole world in a single glass. The characters, incidents, and dialogue in this video are dramatized for narrative and entertainment effect. While some events may be inspired by real-life themes, this story is a work of fiction.